Aspirants 2026. This is your Prasanna Ma'am from NEET World. So yes, we are going to discuss today the questions on respiration in plants. Okay. So far we have dealt with the questions of photosynthesis in higher plants, and now we are going to start the questionnaire session on the respiration in plants. We are going to exercise from basics to the advanced level, covering all the concepts, applications and numerical parts as well, and we are also going to deal with the diagram based questions and NEET previous year questions as well. So yes beta, coming to this questionnaire session, before going to the questionnaire session, I would like to give you a brief intro about our NEET World special program, that for 2 steps to medicine, 11th standard students will land on this NEET World 2 steps to medicine program, wherein the fee is 3333 per month, and NEET World's 1 step to medicine is for 12th standard students, and NEET World's power step to medicine is for the students who are aspiring to take +1, again 1 long term, to crack NEET 2026. For all these 3 programs, the fee is very minimal beta, that is 3333. Though you take online or offline, complete lecture series will be offered for you in the same fee per month. Okay, by giving you complete materials and questionnaire practice books completely, the fee is same, and including the test series as well. And to know more about these courses, please call on to the given number or directly visit our branch, which is in Narayanguda, Hyderabad. Clear, right? Now, so here today we are going to deal with respiration in plants. First, let us exercise each and every question. First question, if you see beta, select the correct statements he is asking you. Between temperature range of 0, this is 25 degrees Celsius, 0 to 25 degrees Celsius, rate of respiration doubles for every 10 degrees Celsius rise in temperature. So statement 1, what is it saying? Between temperature range of 0 to 25 degrees Celsius, rate of temperature doubles every 10 degrees Celsius in temperature. That is correct statement according to Q10 temperature quotient. Q10 temperature quotient. According to this law, for every 10 degrees rise in temperature, the respiration rate doubles if it is from the range of 0 to 25 degree Celsius. Second, you see ma, cytochromes are iron porphyrin compounds. If you have to look into the cytochrome pigments, where do you find out this? In aerobic respiration. Where do you get about this cytochromes? In respiration, aerobic respiration, you will find this out in electron transport system of aerobic respiration, wherein electron transport system, if I have to consider this as a mitochondria and this as cristae, okay, connecting from inner mitochondrial membrane to intermembrane space, 4 complexes will be there, right ma, in the ETS. In complex 3, that complex 3 we will be calling it as what? Cytochrome BC complex. We will call it as cytochrome BC complex. This cytochrome is a compound of porphyrin ring, and in this compound, in this complex or in this channel cytochrome BC complex, you will be having what protein? Ferrous sulfur protein. So association of this porphyrin ring which is in the cytochrome with ferrous will be taking place in the aerobic respiration at the last step of ETS. Clear, right beta? So here you see cytochromes are iron porphyrin compounds, that is 100% correct. Okay, this you will see in the last step, that is ETS, in the complex 3. Okay, in cytochrome BC complex, where it has protein molecules, that is FES, ferrous sulfur complex. Clear nama? So now here both 1 and 2 are correct only. Lastly, you see third statement, respiratory rate of wounded or injured plant parts generally decreases. Wrong. Actually, in the wounded or injured areas, respiratory rate drastically increases to activate the defense mechanism and healing. Okay, so to activate defense mechanism plus healing, the respiratory rate actually increases, it doesn't decrease. So statement 3 will be wrong. As in question, he asked us to identify what ma? Correct statements. So what we have to choose? Statement 1 and 2 will be the correct statements. Option A will be the correct answer. Next question you look into, assertion reason type of question. So in this question, respiration differs from combustion in liberation of energy. That is true na beta. In combustion what happens? Complete energy will be released at that time. But in respiration that is not possible because energy is released in every step of the respiration. Step by step, in glycolysis, in link reaction, in ETS. Okay, in Krebs cycle, the energy is being released step by step, not completely at a time as how you will see in combustion. In reason, if you see ma, liberation of energy occurs in respiration gradually in steps in contrast to combustion. Correct. Okay. Here in respiration, energy release will happen stepwise, in combustion at a time. So here reason is exactly explaining the assertion. So what you have to choose over here, both assertion and reason are true and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Option A will be the right answer. Here you see, this is about ATP molecule. We call ATP as what beta? Cellular energy. Okay, ATP is well known as what? Cellular energy, because a cell uses the energy in the form of ATP to conduct all its metabolic activities. Okay, cell will not use the energy in the form of NADH or FADH2. It will use the energy only in the form of ATP to conduct all the cellular metabolic activities. That is why we call ATP as cellular energy. So this will be the cellular energy. Here you look into its structure. We all know what is the full form of ATP? Adenosine triphosphate. Okay, it is adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine. Adenosine means what ma? Sugar and nitrogen base will be there. What is the sugar that is present over here? The sugar is a pentose sugar. At second carbon, that is at C2, here can you see OH group? If at C2 there is OH group, then definitely it will be what? Ribose. Fine. In the question he gave us the 3 components of ATP and he asked us to identify each component present. ATP is said to be what? Adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine means what beta? That is a nucleoside. Nucleoside is a combination of what? Sugar and nitrogen base. Here this is a pentose sugar and at second carbon you can identify OH group. So this is said to be what sugar? Ribose. And this nitrogen base is what? It is heterocyclic adenine. Okay, adenine, which is 6-amino purine. Clear, right ma? So adenine and ribose. So this is what? Adenosine. And here you can see 3 phosphate groups or phosphate ions, 1, 2 and 3. So this is what? Triphosphate. So 1 will be ribose and 2 will be what? Triphosphate here. Triphosphate. And 3 will be what ma? Adenine, that is nitrogen base. Okay, so this is what? Adenosine triphosphate. Option A will be the correct answer. 1 is ribose, 2 is triphosphate and 3 is what? Adenine. Clear ma? So this is how you have to identify the components which are present. And look it over here ma. Next question, very simple. In plants, glucose is derived from sucrose, that is correct, which is the end product of photosynthesis or from storage carbohydrates. Sucrose is converted to glucose and fructose by the enzyme. To answer this statement, first let me give you a connecting explanation which connects the photosynthesis and respiration. We all know the primary product of photosynthesis is what beta? Glucose. So if I have to consider this as, just a second. Yes, if I have to consider this as the chloroplast, which is a double membrane bound organelle, So here sac like structures will be there, stroma lamellae will be there, and this is what? Stroma. We all know that primary product which is formed where? In the stroma of the chloroplast. Here glucose will be formed. So this glucose, if the chloroplast has to store it in the form of starch granules, it will be stored in the form of starch granules. So stored in the form of starch. But this glucose, if it has to be utilized for the energy purpose, okay, this glucose will be converted to sucrose. Glucose is converted to what beta? Sucrose for translocation. Translocation. So here you have to remember 2 points, ma'am. Glucose, which is the primary product of photosynthesis, if it has to store in the starch granules, it will be stored in the form of starch. But this glucose, if it has to be translocated for the process of respiration, this glucose will be converted to what? Sucrose for translocation. This sucrose is converted to glucose and fructose. Glucose and fructose. Fine. By the enzyme invertase. This happens where? In the cytoplasm. Okay. This happens in cytoplasm. So clear ma? In stroma of the chloroplast, glucose, which is the primary product, if it has to get stored, it will be stored in the form of starch inside the starch granules. If it has to be translocated for the process of respiration, for oxidation, then the glucose is converted to sucrose. Sucrose will enter into the cytoplasm of the cell, and sucrose will be break down into glucose and fructose by the enzyme invertase. Okay, this is converted to glucose and fructose by the enzyme invertase, and from the glucose the process called as glycolysis will be activated in the cytoplasm. This glycolysis is the primary step for aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration also. This is common for both aerobic and anaerobic respiration, which takes place where beta? In the cytoplasm of the cell. Clear, right ma? Next. Chetan. Good afternoon ma. Continue with the class beta. In any case, aerobic or anaerobic, all living organisms retain the enzymatic machinery to partially oxidize glucose without the help of oxygen. So, glucose will be partially oxidized without the help of oxygen. This breakdown of glucose, just now we have learned, this breakdown of glucose is called as what ma? Glycolysis. This is called as glycolysis. Fine. But here in the other three options, few more terms are given which is very important. We have to know the meaning of it. First is glycogenesis. Glycogenesis is nothing but synthesis or formation of glycogen from glucose beta. Synthesis or formation of glycogen from glucose. Glucose to glucose 6-phosphate to glycogen. Glycogen. This is mediated or catalyzed by the enzyme glycogen synthase. This is catalyzed by what enzyme? Glycogen synthase. Fine beta. So, what is glycogenesis? Glucose getting converted to glycogen by the enzyme glycogen synthase. Second is what? Glycogenolysis. The name itself is indicating that is what? Lysis of glycogen. Glycogenolysis is what? Lysis of glycogen. This is mediated or catalyzed by the enzyme glycogen phosphorylase. Glycogen phosphorylase. Both of them will be more active in the liver cells. Both of them will be more active in the liver cells. Both the processes, be it glycogenesis or glycogenolysis. And last D option if you see ma, glyconeogenesis. Glyconeogenesis is nothing but gluconeogenesis. Formation of glucose from non-carbohydrate source like either from proteins or from fats or from amino acids, synthesis of glucose from those non-carbohydrate substrates is called as gluconeogenesis. Okay, this is what the formation of glucose from, it can be either amino acids or fats, fine, or any carboxylic acids also. So, this is clear to you, right, ma? What is glycogenesis? Formation of glycogen. This is by the enzyme what? Glycogen synthase. What is glycogenolysis? Glycogen lysis. That happens with what enzyme? Glycogen phosphorylase. Both of them are active in what cells? Liver cells. And glycolysis, we all know, that is partial oxidation of glucose into two molecules of pyruvic acid. Lastly, gluconeogenesis, where synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrate substrates like amino acids, fats and carboxylic acids. Clear, right, ma? Next you see. Before entering respiratory pathway, amino acids are first to be what? They have to be deaminated. What does it mean? Amino acid, we all know that it has carboxyl group, amino group, OH and R group, H group and R. Just a second. So, here removal of amino group is called as what? Removal of amino group is deamination, okay, where amino acids will get deaminated. Clear, right? Next, before entering respiratory pathway, amino acids are what? Deaminated. Next, assertion and reason type of question. Assertion and reason type of question, where in assertion, after fats are digested, glycerol enters to the glycolysis. So, if we have to look the last step, okay, in the last part of this respiration in plants, we will be having amphibolic pathway, okay, wherein fats, proteins and carbohydrates will be entering into the common pathway of aerobic respiration in the Krebs cycle, right. Connecting to that amphibolic pathway, here we have an assertion reason type of question. After fats are digested, glycerol will enter glycolysis by forming what? DHAP. Is the statement correct or wrong? Fats, first they will be catalyzed to, or oxidized we can say. Fats will be oxidized to what, beta? Glycerol and fatty acids. Okay, fine, glycerol and fatty acids. Fatty acids will not enter into the cycle, okay, it will not enter into the cellular respiration or aerobic cycle. Glycerol will be entering by converting into what? DHAP, dihydroxyacetone phosphate. This DHAP is intermediate in the glycolysis step, okay, this is an intermediate in the glycolysis process. Clear, right, ma? So, assertion is true. After fats are digested, glycerol enters glycolysis by forming DHAP. This DHAP is an intermediate in glycolysis. Next, in reason, if you have to see, after fat digestion, fatty acids can no longer participate in cellular respiration. Okay. So, after fat digestion, fatty acids can no longer participate in cellular respiration. This is true, okay, because fatty acids will not be entering the cellular respiration, glycerol is entering the pathway. So, yes, here assertion and reason are correct, but reason is not a correct explanation of assertion. So, here what we have to go through, ma, option B will be the correct answer. Next question you look into, the mechanism of breakdown of food material within the cell to release the energy and trapping this energy and synthesizing ATP is called as what? We all know that oxidation of macromolecules, be it carbohydrates, proteins or fats, is called as respiration. Oxidation of macromolecules and synthesis of cellular energy inside a cell is called as cellular respiration. So, what is that cellular energy? ATP. ATP is called as cellular energy. Okay, ATP is called as cellular energy. Fine beta. So here ATP is the cellular energy, that is why this is called as what? Cellular respiration. So how you can define the cellular respiration? What is the difference between the definition of respiration and cellular respiration? Respiration we will generally say oxidation of macromolecules and production of energy. Cellular respiration will be clearly mentioning that oxidation of macromolecules, carbohydrates, proteins or fats inside a cell and producing the cellular energy, that is ATP, is called as what? Cellular respiration. Next, anaerobic respiration takes place in, okay, anaerobic respiration takes place inside the cytoplasm. Okay, just look into the proper explanation of this beta. I will be back in a minute. Yes. So here if you see the anaerobic respiration completely activates inside the cytoplasm of the cell itself. So where does anaerobic respiration takes place? Cytoplasm. As we have discussed, the common pathway for both aerobic and anaerobic respiration is what ma? Glycolysis. Okay, glycolysis is common pathway for both aerobic and anaerobic respiration, where glucose is oxidized to 2 molecules of pyruvic acid. Fine ma. And in anaerobic respiration 2 processes can happen, that either lactic acid fermentation or alcoholic fermentation. Lactic acid fermentation, lastly at the end product of lactic acid fermentation will be lactic acid only. Alcohol will be forming 2 products like ethanol and carbon dioxide. Ethanol and carbon dioxide. So here this complete process, either alcoholic fermentation after glycolysis or lactic acid fermentation after glycolysis, this completely happens within the cytoplasm only. Clear, right ma? So here anaerobic respiration takes place in what? Cytoplasm. Okay, anaerobic respiration completely takes place in the cytoplasm only, do remember that. Next, anaerobic respiration of animals and humans will produce what? We all know in animals or human cells, especially in humans, where does the anaerobic respiration takes place? In what cells? Of course it happens in what? Muscle cells, right? Muscle cells. During the time of vigorous exercise, rather than conducting aerobic respiration, which is a lengthy process, the cells rely on the anaerobic respiration, that too on the lactic acid fermentation. Lactic acid fermentation. Fine. In lactic acid fermentation, at the end what is formed? The lactic acid and water. Okay, lactic acid and water is formed at the end. Clear, right ma? Anaerobic respiration of animals or humans will produce what? Anaerobic respiration will produce lactic acid. In animals or human cells, muscle cells, it will produce what? Lactic acid and water at the end, because it will conduct what fermentation? Lactic acid fermentation. Especially in humans it will be taking place during vigorous exercise, that cells, especially muscle cells, will rely on the anaerobic respiration to get that instant energy. Next, which one can respire in the absence of oxygen? In the absence of oxygen, leaves, stem, shoot, they will not rely on the anaerobic respiration, whereas seeds can respire in the absence of oxygen, whereas these cells, be it mesophyll cells of the leaf, stem or root, they can only conduct the aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration. Whereas dry seeds, okay, this dry seeds during the even in the absence of oxygenic conditions also, this dry seeds first during the time of germination, it can rely on the anaerobic respiration. Do remember that. So, seeds can also respire in the absence of oxygen by conducting what? Anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration. Clear, right beta? Next you see, next question, anaerobic respiration is low energy yielding because of what? Okay, too much of carbon dioxide accumulation in the cell? Wrong. Okay, lactic acid is produced which prevents further oxidation. Glucose molecules are not fully oxidized and glucose is unable to break down in the absence of oxygen. Glucose can break in the absence of oxygen also. So, first to answer this question, look into this chart, consider this as a cell. As I told you, anaerobic respiration completely happens inside the cytoplasm only. So, the very first step that happens during the anaerobic respiration is what? Glycolysis, where glucose is incompletely oxidized to 2 molecules of pyruvic acid, right ma? So, here if you have to see where is the energy released during 6th step, okay, during 6th step 2 NADPH is being released, 2 NADH will be released where? In the 6th step of glycolysis, and during 1st and 3rd steps 2 ATP are utilized, 2 ATP are utilized during 1st and 3rd steps. At 7th and 10th step of glycolysis 4 ATP will be released. As from this 4 ATP, 2 ATP are utilized in the 1st and 3 steps. We will calculate like the net ATP will be how much? 2 ATP only. The net ATP is how much ma? 2 ATP. Though it is activating lactic acid fermentation or alcoholic fermentation, there is no amount of energy that is released during lactic acid or alcoholic fermentation. Rather, the NADH which is produced in the 6th step of glycolysis will be utilized for alcoholic or lactic acid fermentation, and they will release back the NAD plus, which serves as an electron acceptor in the 6th step of glycolysis. I hope you have understood better. Once again I will be repeating this, that glycolysis will be converted to 2 molecules of pyruvic acid, and this is the 10-step process we know. In 1st and 3rd steps 2 ATP will be utilized in the glycolysis process. 6th, 7th and 10th step energy is being released. In 6th step 2 NADH molecules will be released. 7th and 10th step 4 ATP molecules will be released. Of them 2 are utilized in the 1st and 3rd steps, and 2 molecules, 2 ATPs are being released into the cytoplasm, but this 2 NADH is either utilized in lactic acid fermentation or alcoholic fermentation. Clear? Wherein this utilizing NADH, it will be releasing the electron acceptor NAD plus, which serves as an electron acceptor in the 6th step of glycolysis. So, ultimately in the complete anaerobic respiration, how much of the energy is released? Just 2 ATP, that also is from what? Glycolysis net ATP. Clear, right ma? So, here glucose is unable to break in the absence of oxygen, that is wrong. It can break into 2 molecules of pyruvic acid and to lactic acid or ethanol. Glucose molecule is not fully oxidized, this is true. We will call it as what? Incomplete oxidation of glucose in the absence of oxygen. Lactic acid is produced which prevents further oxidation. Yes, lactic acid is produced, this will prevent further oxidation. This is also true only, but this will not serve the purpose of the question. Okay, too much oxygen accumulation in the cell, wrong. It is not because of the too much of oxygen accumulation. Aerobic respiration energy is low because glucose molecule is not fully oxidized here. Okay, like how it happens in the aerobic respiration. Clear? So, till here today it's enough ma. I will continue the next questionnaire session tomorrow from the next question. Once again, I would like to brief you about the NEET World's special programs, that is for 2 steps to medicine, 1 step to medicine and power step to medicine. Okay, all the 3 programs are for the students who are aiming for NEET 2026, 1 step and power step, who are aiming for NEET 2027, 2 steps to medicine. Any of the course, the fee is 3333 per month. To know more about these courses, just call on to the given number, or you can directly visit our branch. Finally, I would like to end this session by introducing the Telegram group, NEET World's Telegram group, which is highly useful and beneficial to all the students who are reading in the public platform. Okay. So, here from this NEET World's Telegram channel, you will be getting an access to daily quizzes of botany, zoology, chemistry, physics and maths also, whoever are aspiring for JEE mains. And live class schedules will be given, and free resources like study materials, questionnaire sessions, test series will be released to you, and one-on-one doubt solving sessions with faculties are provided for you. Okay, these are the feasibilities, or these are the benefits that you are going to get, whoever online students or public platform you are studying, or you are going to study through self-study also, this will be helpful. And this is the complete help that you will get from NEET World's Telegram channel. You can call us to the given number, or you can directly log in into the Telegram group through this website, or directly scanning this QR code also you can get into the NEET World's Telegram channel. Okay, so that's all for today beta. We'll meet you tomorrow. Thank you.